In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the...
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Across the globe. Yes, it is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I took the time to check again today, so I know for sure that it has not changed. It is Monday, August the 10th in the year of our Lord 2015. As we begin our week here, and first of all, I got to take the time out to say I I thank you from the bottom of my heart. My family thanks you from the bottom of our hearts. All your well wishes, prayers, and condolences for the passing of my friend and my father, Robert Eccles. And it's something that's hard. Obviously, when you lose a loved one, it's never easy, even when you know the end is coming. The actual time when that end is here and the angel of death pays your loved one a visit and takes her soul to heaven is still never easy at any time for those of us who are left behind to carry on our lives and to carry on their legacy, which I will do. And it's a massive loss to our family, to my family, and he will forever be in our hearts and our memories. He was very much loved by the family and the community at large, and I was really surprised by the outpouring from the community. Now, later this week, I will not be here because we will be laying Robert Eccles to rest at the end of this week, so I will not be here in the Freedom Throne behind the Freedom microphone. But I am sure all of you understand that. But until then, I know some people are probably thinking, well, why am I here now? Well, first of all, there are two reasons. There's three reasons. One, there isn't anything else that I can do. My family, we are tight knit and close, and we are doing everything we can. And most of the preparations are completed, and we are trying to live our lives. And two, this is being on the air with you is somewhat therapeutic for me, because it is my passion, and my father has always taught me to follow your passion and try to live it. Find something that you really do enjoy and just do it to the best of your ability. And three, and probably most importantly, because he would. This is what he would want. He would, during the entire time that he was ill, numerous times he, would either try to kick me out of the hospital room or try to make me go back home, because that's just the man that he was. Do not sit by and mourn him or feel sorry for him was basically his motto. And he was a very strong and proud man, yes. But he definitely would. This is what he would be telling me to do right now, and so I'm honoring his memory and what he over the past few months, what he has tried to get me to do. Although 99% of the time I ignored those requests, and sometimes I could see he was a little perturbed at me for not. He was still my dad. You still listen to your father no matter what, right? No matter how old you get, he's still your father, and you're still your father's child, and you're always to obey your father. And those times there were times when I disobeyed him, said, "No, I'm not leaving you. I'm staying right here." You see it in his eyes and his voice. He was a little perturbed. So I am honoring what I am sure would be one of his wishes right now. And again, I do thank everyone for all their sympathies and condolences and prayers. It is very much appreciated, and it has not gone unnoticed by me and my family. Well, the number that you can call here this evening if you wish to join the conversation is toll-free 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. And we will be tending tonight to the living. Jesus Christ said, "Let the dead bury the dead." It is our job to tend to the living, so I will also be obeying my Heavenly Father this evening by tending to those of us who are still alive. And one of the things I know that is on everybody's talk list is, well, there's a couple of things that's on everybody's talk list. One is obviously the Donald. And two is obviously the GOP debate. Now, I didn't get to watch the debate, unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond my control last Thursday. But I did get to hear portions of it. Thanks to iHeartRadio, I was able to, I think the station that I actually got on iHeartRadio was a Hawaiian station out of Hawaii. The internet is fascinating. I mean, to be able to get a station out of Hawaii, what is Hawaii's like 6 hours, but 5 or 6 hours behind us, I think. And to be able to listen to the debate on iHeart via a Hawaiian radio station was quite interesting. So I did get to hear as much as I possibly could of the debate. I missed big portions of it, unfortunately. Yeah, and it was rather interesting, and I was rather impressed with most of the candidates. And I got to tell you, the performance of some of the candidates really changed my views of some of them. And I said that this would happen. I said that people were obviously out there touting, well, this candidate is the only candidate who can do this, and no other candidate has been able to say this or that or come up with a plan for it. I said, we haven't even started the debates yet. We haven't even really gotten into any part of the real meat of this campaign season. And now that we've had, a forum here in New Hampshire with most of the candidates, and we've had the first major debate with all the candidates, and people are starting to see, how some of these candidates or all the candidates can act and react to various stimuli, read that as questions, and listen to their answers. And I got to tell you, there were some winners in the debate, and there were some losers in the debate. Now, if you just now, frankly, I know if you look at some of the polls have it all over the place, about who won and who didn't win, that type of thing. But I got to tell you, if you look at the polls now, I can tell you that there were some clear losers in the debate. And what I mean by losers, as far as is either gaining or losing support from the Republican voters, the Republican voter base. And I got to tell you that people like, well, obviously Jeb Bush didn't do himself any favors. Let's put that out there. Jeb Bush really hurt himself. I think he did. And I think the polls are probably, reflecting some of that, especially on his stance with, supporting big government education and Common Core and things like that. That is now, if you're actually sticking your finger up in the wind, your moist finger up in the wind to see what direction the wind is blowing about what people are feeling and thinking, there's no way in hell that Jeb Bush should have been so staunchly in favor of Common Core. I mean, even a lot of Democrats don't like Common Core. That was a losing argument in his part. Now, I don't know who his handlers are, or who told him that he should stick to his guns on this thing, but it really harmed him. Another person who I thought came across as a big loser is Chris Christie. Now, his spat between that he had with Rand Paul did not serve him. It did not serve Chris Christie. Now, Chris Christie came across, and he was shown to be a big government Republican. Hey, yeah, he's even out there trying to double down on it. Well, out there saying, well, sometimes, we got to give up a little bit of liberty in order to be secure. And I don't know how many times, everybody has, in one form or fashion or another has, paraphrased or quoted Ben Franklin and other founding fathers saying that, basically if you're willing to give up a little bit of liberty for a little bit of security, you deserve neither liberty nor security, and indeed you will have neither liberty nor security. So you're basically going to be trading one tyrant for another. So if you're going to go ahead and say, well, we're going to give up liberty so we can be secure from, Islamic terrorism, well, you're giving up the tyrant of Islamic terrorists to your own government. And we know that our own government can be at times quite oppressive towards American citizens. That's not up for debate. That's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. So the whole notion that we should, go ahead and continue doing the same, and I think what Rand was really trying to put across was, one, it's against the Constitution, people's, liberties that the government should even think about doing this. And two, it really isn't helping to fend off any type of terrorism, because they're focusing on so-called homegrown terrorism. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, there are some people that are roaming around the streets of America that have been radicalized, or they've gotten into, radicals have gotten into the country, and they're roaming around the streets of America. And yet we need to, try to be able to find out who they are and keep track of them. But to keep track of everyday people, and we're noticing that people are getting tripped up on other issues besides terrorism. And it's just not right. Maybe these people were probably of the mindset, giving up a little bit of freedom in order to have some security. Well, how secure are you if the government can come in and just take whatever they want from you without due process? Or how secure are you if they just decide that they're going to track you because, I don't know, maybe you didn't intend for a particular word that you use to be construed in the wrong way, like a terrorist or criminal. But, you get flagged, and now all eyes of the government are on you, and as soon as you jaywalk, they're right there to pick you up. This is not going to keep America safe. And if you're giving up, what is the point of giving up liberty? Liberty is what this country is all about. And if you're going to change the basic foundation of what this country is about, well, all the terrorists, they've won. They've won. It's no different than back in the McCarthy era. McCarthyism, well, we're gonna weed out these communists because we don't want, well, part of that, if a person wants to be a communist, well, that's his right as being an American citizen and being able to spout, communistic governmental beliefs if that's what if they want to foster. And to have the government come in and say, well, now your life is going to be ruined because you're a communist pinko bastard. Well, that's wrong. That was wrong, and it still is wrong. Now, we may not like communism. We may, loathe it with every fiber of our being. But let's face it, if you're going to restrict one person's right to believe as the way they want to believe, well, then eventually you're going to have the same right of yours restricted or eliminated. And this is just logic. This is historical, documented fact, and it is just logic. When you start eliminating one group's liberty and freedom, then eventually it moves on over to just about everybody else. And once that juggernaut starts, running, it's very difficult to stop it. But I must say that Rand Paul also didn't do himself any favors, because he came up for the little bit of the exchange I caught with him a couple of times between him and Christie. Rand Paul came across as being a whiny child. He really did. So that didn't really do him. He didn't do himself any favors as far as I'm concerned. And I think we've seen the polls, and I do believe that in most polls, legitimate. Well, I don't know if there's any such thing as a legitimate poll, because if you've listened to this program for any length of time, you know that I do not put my faith in polls. I'm not a big fan or believer in polls, but I do believe they can sometimes serve a useful purpose, especially when you start seeing, certain polls from the liberal mindset. And you put all those different polls together because, ABC will have one poll, NBC will have another poll, CBS will have one, and Huffington Post will have another, and that kind of thing. But if you start putting them all together, you can start seeing a certain pattern. And that can tell you a lot. One poll isn't going to tell you anything. I'm sorry, it's that one poll isn't going to tell you jack. But when you start putting a whole bunch of different polls together, you start seeing a pattern. And those patterns can be recognized and analyzed, and one can make an educated guess, if you will, about what is going to come out the other side of all those combined polls. And out of these combined polls, we've seen that evidently Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, and Rand Paul, their support has either remained flat or dropped slightly. Where there are others who seem to have improved their support. Now, I know a lot, a lot of people were thinking, well, maybe Donald Trump, he lost that debate. He was just mean. Well, if you're looking at all the various polls, some polls have Donald Trump as being at 19%, and some have him at 20%, and some have him at 23%. I think I saw one that had him at 26%. But the whole point is that most of those polls show the Donald after the debate, his poll numbers did not drop. And in many cases, his poll numbers went up. Now, they didn't go up by much. Most polls show them that they went up by 1 to 3 points, but that's significant. When you are looking at everybody saying that Donald Trump lost the debate, he didn't win, and he came across as being a bully, he came across as being mean, and the American people actually kind of seem to have liked it. Now, remember, the numbers that we've seen of people watching and paying attention to the debate, and that's just Fox numbers of 25 million people. That is not counting the number of people like myself who heard it or watched it not via Fox News channel. So any way you look at it, it was a huge win for Fox News, and some numbers put the total number of people listening, whether they're either watching it on TV or listening it via some other channel or avenue, at between 30 and 35 million people. That's a huge win for Fox. Now, with that said, when you start looking at all the different people all the different polls that show that the Donald did not lose support, and you have that many people paying attention to the debate, that is significant. That is very huge news for the Donald. And, I got to tell you, he's not blind and deaf to this. I'm sure he's seen all the different poll numbers, and he's probably saying, well, look, I didn't lose any support. In fact, I gained a little bit, so I'm not going to back down. So we're definitely going to keep hearing, at least for the short term, hearing the same brash Donald Trump. Now, whether he's able to take it all the way to the finish line remains to be seen. I know a lot of pundits are saying, well, no, he can't make it all the way. Well, those same pundits already had him dropping out of the race by now. Those same pundits were saying, well, Donald Trump does this, he's going to lose big time and lose support, and everybody's going to see what Donald Trump is really like, and he's going to lose a ton of support. Well, none of that stuff from the pundits has come to fruition, at least not yet. So, will it? I don't know. I'm not a future seeker, or I can't. I can't even think of off the top of my head. Can't even think of what it is that you would call it. But so it's it is. I guess it is what it is. But the Donald is not really losing any support, and those people who are predicting his demise are sorely wrong, at least for now. But there have been some surprises of some people surging in the polls, gaining support because of their performance in the debate. Now, quite frankly, there's a whole notion that the Donald thought that he was picked on a little bit too much, and that the questions were a little bit more pointed towards him than others, and they were a little bit unfair. But that's what happens when you're the front runner. That's all I can say to Donald Trump is that basically happens when you're the front runner. Now, granted, Mr. Trump put a bullseye on his back simply by being who he is. And even if he wasn't the number one in just about every poll out there before going into the debate, if he was in the top 10 or the top 5, I think they were going to come after him simply because of who he is and how he holds himself. So, but I think there is some legitimacy to what Donald Trump was saying about him being if you want to call it unfairly singled out. And, because other candidates were handled with kid gloves, but Donald was not, obviously. Again, that's what happens to the front runner. The front runner is always going to be hammered by the media. And I know that some people are probably thinking, well, this is Fox News? This can't be Fox News. Why would Fox News do this to Donald? I thought, well, because they're part of the mainstream media. That's why I say I don't watch Fox News. But frankly, I was a little bit surprised by Megyn Kelly's performance. Now, of course, I'm not going to say what Donald Trump said about her, but he may have a point, a certain point, not the way he said it, but what he was meaning. And, we'll continue that when we get back, folks.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
$603-835-3224 is the number to call if you wish to, toll-free number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show. We will put you right on the air with yours truly. As far as there's a big poll out there today, the NBC Survey Monkey poll. And they asked the question of who won the debate. Now, this is quite interesting when you see it because it's not who you'd expect at first. Because one of the candidates wasn't even with the top tier. Carly Fiorina, 22% of respondents said that Fiorina won the debate, followed by Trump with 18%, and my surprise, Rubio and Cruz with 13 and 12%, and then you had another surprise with Ben Carson and Mike Huckabee each at 8%. Now, I heard some of, I heard some of Dr. Carson and some of Huckabee's responses to some of their questions. And, you saw a little bit of Cruz and Huckabee being a little bit more like Donald, being kind of blunt and forward, if you will, as well as trying to be honest. And I think the American voters, they liked that and responded to that in kind. By, pretty much. Now, I have to tell you, and I know there are some people who are not going to like this. I have to tell you something. And I'm a little, even though Dr. Carson did quite well in other people's eyes in the debate, I was a little disappointed. I think Dr. Carson's answers to some of his questions that I heard were a little bit too polished and practiced and didn't really get into depth when he had the time to get into depth. And that bothers me because he's not a professional politician. Now, I'm sure that this is probably what his handlers were probably coached him on. But Dr. Carson probably doesn't listen to my show, and he probably isn't going to take my advice. But I'm going to tell the doctor this: dump the polished stuff. Look, he wasn't wearing glasses that night. I'm sure he was wearing contacts, and he looked completely different than what we're used to seeing him. Look, here's the deal. May I be a little bit informal? Ben, put your glasses back on and be yourself. Don't try to be this polished politician because that's not who you are. So I was a little disappointed in his performance. And again, I'm not going to say that it was him because I don't believe it was. I believe it was his advisors and his handlers and his coaches. And they tried to make him into hey, Dr. Carson, now you've got to move on from being a neurosurgeon and being presidential. Now, let me tell you something about being presidential. This country was not designed to be run by professional politicians. It was designed to be run by citizen statesmen. So I know sometimes they have to learn what actually attracts the American public. And there is one glaring example of that in our nation's history in the guise of Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln lost every election that he was in. He lost every political race that he was in until he ran for president. And frankly, that's the one that counted. But here's a guy who really wasn't, if you listen, he learned over time. It took him a long time, obviously, to finally learn what was going to resonate with the voters of his day and how to get his message across. And I know this is what we saw with Ronald Reagan. He was called the great communicator because he knew how to get his message across so the vast majority of people could understand him and fully understand clearly what he was saying. And I think this is what Abraham Lincoln had to learn. He had to learn how to get his message across so people fully and clearly understood him. And once they did, they elected him president. Now, this is going to be the same for Dr. Carson. He doesn't need to act like he's a politician. What he needs to do is to very much clearly espouse his positions so that the voter can fully and clearly understand him, regardless of how polished he is. Because, look, we've had unpolished politicians be elected before. Can we say Jimmy Carter? Can we say, George W. Bush? Obviously not very polished in his vocal regimen. And Barack Obama. I hear everybody talk about how well Obama speaks. You ever listen to Obama really speak? He's not a great orator. Not at all. But he was able to get, evidently, his message resonated, evidently, with enough people to get him elected twice. Whether we like it or not, Obama he communicated well enough and clearly enough that people thought that that's what they wanted. I'm not going to get into the he lied about everything. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is that he learned what he thought people wanted to hear, and he was able to clearly express what he thought they wanted to hear, so they would then, in turn, elect him. And that's what happened. And the same thing with George W. Bush. He wasn't a great orator, but he was able to clearly get across to the American voter what he was about, what he wanted to do, what his policies were probably going to be, and the American voter liked it enough that they wanted to vote for him and elected him twice. So this is the same thing that Dr. Carson is going to have to, he's going to have to drop this long-winded, not clear answer type of professional polished politician kind of crap because it doesn't fit him. I was kind of disappointed because it doesn't fit. Now, if Jeb Bush responded that way, and he did a few times, I wouldn't think anything of it because that's, Jeb Bush. Chris Christie, I say what I mean and mean what I say. Well, that's a bunch of bullarchy right there. But, again, it would fit him too. But Dr. Carson, that type of answering system didn't fit him. But because he did not, and maybe this is what his handlers were trying to bring across, is that Dr. Carson could be brilliant in something other than neurosurgery. And because of that, because he didn't sound like a total wimp buffoon, which a lot of people thought that he would, they thought, well, this guy, he doesn't have any political, gumption or any political history. He's gonna be outclassed by these other politicians. They're gonna make him look like a total fool. Well, that didn't happen. And I think people looked at that and said, wow, this guy can, he can bone up. So if he can do that, maybe he can learn, quote unquote, to be presidential. And I think that's what you see in the surge of his support. But I would, he should take this and build on it by actually getting to sound more like himself. And look, I believe that Dr. Carson can emote very clearly his stances and his positions. And that he can do so also by being very detailed in his answers. And not be, don't, because look, one thing that is really going to probably put Donald on a slide is that he too is not being very detailed. And maybe, it's very, I know it's still early in this whole process. So now that, these, a lot of the candidates are starting to put out their overview of what their policy is on, on many topics and issues. And that's great. But going forward, people are going to want to start to see and hear more detail. So I'm telling Dr. Carson now that he's going to have to be able to learn how to be more detailed in his answers. And the same with Donald Trump. He's going to have to be able to be more detailed. And that goes for all of them. It doesn't matter who they are. And those who are not going to be more detailed, they're going to lose. They're going to get left behind. They're going to end up dropping out of the race. This is probably about the only time that they're going to be allowed to get away with being generalized in their answers and not giving more specific details. Because as we actually start getting closer to pulling the lever and voting for these people, voters are going to want to know details. And the candidate that can emote the details the clearest is going to win. Now, this is, look, Obama, people, you can't really honestly say that everybody who voted for Obama really agreed with most of what he was saying or most of his potential policies back when he was campaigning. But he was more detailed than Hillary Clinton. Look, Hillary just put out this new plan today for, free college, kind of like Bernie Sanders. But you know what? She's going to have to be, her and Bernie, they're going to have to be extremely detailed about this because people are going to want to know, well, how are we, the taxpayer, going to pay for this? I know that the politicians like to say, well, the government's going to pay for it. Well, no. Well, American people aren't that stupid anymore. We're not that, we're a little bit more sophisticated now. We fully understand that the government is us. The government's money is our tax money. So, and if the government doesn't think that it has enough tax money, the government's going to raise our taxes. So people pretty much understand that. So they're going to start asking the questions. Well, okay, this is $350 billion, Hill. How you intend to pay for it? The only way to pay for it is, raising somebody's taxes. Now, sure, a lot of people might say, well, raise the rich taxes. Well, fine, go ahead. But you can only raise the taxes on the rich so much, and it isn't going to cover every little stupid little, want that both sides of the political aisle seem to want the government to pay for. I don't care what, you start adding all that stuff up, and there aren't enough rich people that have enough money to do it. The numbers don't work. Plain and simple. But, she's going to have to be, Clinton is going to have to get more detailed. Sanders is going to have to get more detailed in his plan as well. Just like all the candidates on the Republican side, they're all going to have to get more detailed. And, we'll see just how detailed they can possibly be and for people to fully understand them and agree with them. Because once the voter fully understands, next comes the process of getting them to agree with you. And I don't, on the left, I know the left, it's a large percentage of the population, but on the left, you can keep on doing the class warfare thing. Oh, the rich are getting away with murder, blah, blah, blah. Rich have all the money, rich have this, rich aren't paying their fair share and blah, blah, blah. Okay, some voters are going to buy into that. But I think the majority of voters are going to start saying, well, wait a minute. Well, you want the rich to pay for this? You want, for education, for health care, for this and that and this and this and that. They don't have all that kind of money. We may say that they do, but, we may like to think that they do, but the reality is I think a lot of people fully understand that the rich do not have an unlimited supply of cash. And as more and more people leave the middle class and get to the upper class, either, by their own business or their job, moving up the ladder in their job, or a combination of both, they start hitting that six-figure mark. They start to be construed and be considered by the left as being the lucky ones and the rich. And as more and more people hit that six-figure mark and approach it, they're looking at themselves thinking, well, what the hell? We're not rich. And this is the one good thing about having a good economy, which is why, and I know this is a totally different topic, folks, but stay with me here because this is all put together here. This is all coming together here, so pay attention. You have to understand that as the economy heats up and people do well, that means that their salaries and their incomes increase. And as more and more people, especially with this internet economy, and it's not, if you put your mind to it and you have the right type of thing, I don't care what it is, just the right type of venue, you can make a very good living in this technology economy, this internet economy. I don't know how, when Obama first took office in 2009, back in 2008, 2009, I think there were less than 10 people on YouTube making $100,000 or more. Today, on YouTube, there is a plethora. I don't know the actual number, but it's thousands of people are making six figures off of YouTube. Now, you start adding that to people, regular mom and pop shops. I'm not talking big business, mom and pop shops who are also making or approaching the six-figure mark on places like Amazon and eBay and Etsy and other online stores and places. And you're also talking about people who are able to build their own websites and blogs and make ridiculous amounts of money. There's a gentleman that I follow, John Chow. Now look, you can say what you want. I don't read his blog very often because his blog is just a bunch of, nonsensical BS kind of. He blogs about blogging. That's what he blogs about. He blogs about blogging and having this so-called .com lifestyle. Now, from what I understand, the guy makes 7 figures off of his blogs. But he's not alone. Now, granted, he's a Canadian, but there are lots of Americans who are doing the same thing. Look, while I was at home, I got to watch something called extreme couponing. Now, I got a little curious about that. And I did a little bit of Googling and Binging. And I found out that there are just regular moms out there, stay-at-home moms, that blog about couponing and being frugal, and that a lot of them are making big money part-time. Now, I'm talking, more than they would make if they were going to a full-time job, making a median income of $36,000 to $38,000. A lot of these people, they do these estimates, and you can find this stuff out, estimated what the blog earns and that kind of thing. They're doing over $50,000 a year. Now, as their popularity keeps growing, their income is going to keep growing. And and if you combine their income with what their husband's income is, they're most likely at the six-figure mark. They do not consider themselves to be rich, which is why they continue to do all this couponing kind of stuff, right? So you got to ask, as people start to realize that, they're approaching the so-called rich threshold and they don't view themselves as rich, they're going to start looking at all these people on the left who are not pulling their weight and who are being jealous of success of other people who are actually going to work and actually trying to produce something on a daily basis. They're not going to you're going to have a definite divide of class warfare. And as more and more people go beyond that point, now a lot of people are saying, well, the $15 an hour minimum wage, a lot of workers are finding out that is not the panacea that they thought that they were told it was going to be. And we can see it in certain places in the country where the minimum wage has gone up to $15 an hour. These people are real. Wait a minute, $15 an hour. Well, no, I'm not going to be able to get certain government welfare benefits because I'm earning too much. But it isn't going to be enough to make me feel better or live better. So they're asking to have their hours cut. So instead of working 25 hours, they're saying, hey, boss, only work me 18 to 20 hours. So I'm below that threshold because otherwise we lose money. So they're also learning. Now, whether all this comes together in time for the next election, people are starting to learn that all this stuff, all this class warfare really isn't going to benefit them. And I always ask the question, okay, if you think that the rich don't pay their fair share, fine. But how is that person who you think is rich getting taxed more going to help you? Does that put more money in your pocket if they tax that rich person more? 99.9% of the people say, well, actually, no. I don't get any more money when they tax them more. Well, why tax them then? So these are the types of things that these politicians, especially on the right, they're going to have to express this type of thing very clearly. They're going to have to emote this type of thought process and this type of factual identity, if you will, so that these people fully understand that they're being played. They're being played. And, whoever won the debate on Thursday, good for them. It's the first salvo. It's important. It's going to give certain people a good, strong base or a boost that they need to stay in that top tier as we continue going through this whole process like we normally do. But at the same time, those who are at the top, they can expect to be targets by the media. And let's face it, Carly Fiorina, a lot of people think that she won the debates. But now I'm already starting to hear people talking about Carly and her weaknesses. Hey, she was the chief of Hewlett-Packard. She managed Hewlett-Packard's decline. Well, that's going to be a historical fact that she's going to have to explain away at some point. Look, if they already tried hitting Donald with what, four business bankruptcies from 4 of his different companies. They already tried. Now if they did that to Donald, imagine them not wanting a Fiorina Clinton debate. They're going to want to knock Carly out. Can you imagine if they were hitting Donald already with his 4 bankruptcies of his 4 different businesses, what they're going to do to Carly with the venerable giant of Hewlett-Packard losing half of its value under her reign as CEO? Can you imagine what they're going to do to her in that? I'm sure she's probably being coached and on that type of thing right now. But it's not going to be pretty. It won't be pretty. So she's going to have to, she is going to, like everybody else, and some of these candidates are probably going to have to be even more clear than others, and I think she's one of them. They're going to have to be really extremely concise and clear about their message, because they're going to be hit from all directions. And it's going to get to the point where the lamestream media is going to start, with sending ballistic missiles at the GOP candidates. It's going to make the Megyn Kelly Donald Trump spat look like a little playground, of third graders slapping each other. I'm telling you, it's going to get nasty, folks. It's going to get really nasty. And there are going to be candidates that aren't going to be able, it's going to get very hot. And there are candidates right now that are not going to be able to handle that kind of heat. And there are going to be candidates that can. Now, it remains to be seen who is going to remain by January of 2016. I've already said that there are a few people that definitely won't be, but I said one of those would be Dr. Carson, but if he can actually start sounding like himself and not like a polished politician, he may make that first cut, which would be a huge surprise to a lot of people.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialist. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialist today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Get started again.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Rod coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Monday, August the 10th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we begin our week. And the toll-free number that you can call to join me here live to chime in on what I've been discussing is 603-835-3224. Again, that's 603-835-3224. And I got something here from the Washington Times, and another poll, I guess you could say, but it's about Obama. Now, this is something that I know a lot of people are saying, well, you know, the GOP needs to attack Obama. They need to go in, the candidates, they need to attack, they shouldn't attack each other, and they need to attack Obama. And I would agree with that. Absolutely. They need to tie Hillary Clinton in with Obama. And as they tie Hillary Clinton in with Obama, they can attack Obama and bring Obama down. And then by fiat, obviously, it would be Hillary too. Now you can only take it so far because, Hillary was only there 4 years, and then she got out. And which kind of gives Hillary a little bit of cover, saying, well, see, I knew that the president was just wrong on certain things. That's why I got out early. But in any case, a couple of weeks ago, the president was overseas, and he was talking about, well, hey, he was in Africa, and he was talking to some of the African nations. And he was saying, well, of course, if he could run for a third term, he'd win. And he stated it pretty matter-of-factly, like he knew something the rest of us didn't know, that if he could run for a third term, but the Constitution won't allow him, damn Constitution gets in his way every time. And he can't executive order his way around this one. But, he's, trust me, he's probably looked at a way to do it. But, he says that he would win if he could run for a third term. But the problem is that his neurotic fantasy, it doesn't jive with the reality on the ground and with the American people. And from the WashingtonTimes.com, voters simply reject Obama's third term claim, and this is a double hit to his ego, I'm sure, if he's even watching or paying attention to this. Majority of Americans believe Iran beat the U.S. on the Iranian nuclear deal. In fact, Americans believe that Iran got the better of President Obama in the recent nuclear deal, according to a Monmouth University poll released earlier today that suggests widespread discontent with the White House. Just 14% of those surveyed believe the U.S. came out on top in the negotiations, which Obama said will prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Now, I heard something today that was from the president that was just absolutely moronic. I have been hemming and hawing over this. I am probably just going to have to capitulate because I don't play a lot of sound bites, because I know a lot of the other programs that, talk show hosts and everything, they play sound bites. My problem with playing sound bites is that it's too easy to take what somebody says in a sound bite out of context, depending on how you edit it. And often, if you want to edit that particular sound bite so it's not taken out of context, it ends up being that you have to play, 5 or 10 minutes of the conversation that they're having. And I don't like doing that. So it's very difficult for me to play the sound bite. And I think as time goes on, I'm just going to have to capitulate and start doing it, because this is one of those things where the sound bite would probably bring my point home for you. But this poll recently says that just 14% of those surveyed believe the U.S. came out on top. But Obama said, I heard something that Obama said recently, because somebody was asking, a reporter was asking Obama about, putting forcing the Iranians wouldn't, this deal, let's just say this wouldn't give the Iranians the ability to have a nuclear weapon for 15 years. Now, what we're told right now is that without the deal, Iran is just, a few short months away from, or sooner, of being nuclear capable. And that what the reporter was in his question was asking, okay, at the end of 15 years, doesn't that reset and then put the Iranians again a few months or less away from obtaining a nuclear weapon? Now, the president basically admitted, well, yeah, sure. So in other words, this is a deal to kick the can down the road 15 years. Now, I hate to tell the president, unless he knows something that we don't. The man is still fairly young. What is he, 53, 54? In 15 years, he's not even going to be 70. So he's most likely still going to be alive. And in 15 years, his daughters will probably just be starting to start their own families and probably have, some new grandchildren. Some, running around. So I don't know why anybody would think that kicking this down the road just 15 short years, a decade and a half, is a good thing. Especially if he's admitting that, but his response, his continued response to that question is, well, by then, we'd be able to see what they were doing and we could stop them. Well, we really can't see what they're doing now, and this deal isn't going to stop them. So let's just say it does put their ambitions on hold for a decade and a half. What are we going to do in 15 years? Or 10 years? Or 7 years? And there are some people out there saying because of the way the deal is written, there's no way to ensure that Iran is following the rules. So the whole notion that they're still going to be nuclear capable, they're going to be nuclear capable in a few short months or sooner, would still stand even if we accepted and approved of this deal. Because we wouldn't, look, when you have, okay, hey, Iran, now you agreed to this deal, so we want to come in and inspect. Okay. But you can only do it, my friend, in about 24 days. Because we have to prepare. We have to hide. Clean up. Make sure all facilities are able to accept you. So basically, it's nearly a month. It's 3 weeks. Now, I don't care who you are. In about 3 weeks, you can pretty much hide just about anything. You can clean up just about anything. Oh, no, they can't hide that much. We'll still be able to see it. No, you won't. Not to mention, they don't have to disclose, evidently, from what I understand of this deal, they don't have to disclose every single facility that they have that's capable of producing, nuclear material. So if they have places that we don't know about, what are we going to do when we find one? Hey, Khomeini, we saw one of your some new facility. That is old. That does not work. It is an old facility. Okay, we want to inspect it. Okay, in 24 days. So it doesn't matter. Even if we find a new facility, there's nothing in there that says, okay, well, first of all, you got to tell us every single facility that you got, and if we catch you cheating, that we get to go in there right away, not give you that 3-week window. No, they still can say, well, okay, we got 3 weeks. We'll clean it up and show you that it doesn't, it's inoperable. We'll move everything out in 3 weeks. And trust me, if that's what they want to do, they have the ability and the manpower to work 24/7 to do that. And I think the American people understand that, which is why only 14% surveyed believe that. I don't know, maybe that's 14%, the 14%. Well, obviously the 10% of that is going to be the diehard that's, fringe. Each side of the political aisle has about 10% diehard that's going to believe anything and everything that their side tells them. So, you could You can always whitewash that. 10% on each side. 10-10. But there's still 4%, 4 or 5% that for some reason believe that, the U.S. came out on top. I don't know how that's possible. But, yeah. And they believe that Obama is right, and this will prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon for at least several, at least, instead of forever. But for several years. Which he said the only option other than going to war. So I guess in several years, then we get to go to war. So we're postponing war, I guess, by a few years. I thought the whole point was not to kick everything down. See, there are certain things that you just cannot kick down the road. You can't kick war down the road. Somebody's going to have to go to war. If that's all you're doing, if you're not solving the issue of the problem, then somebody eventually is going to have to go to war. Now, the poll also found that Mr. Obama's recent boast that he could win a third term to be, shall we say, hubris. Just 26% of voters said they would vote for him to be reelected, while 68% said they'd find somebody else. Even among Democrats, just 53% said that they'd embrace a third term. Mr. Obama's approval rating also slipped to 45% compared with 50% disapproval. Now, as we know, historically speaking, nobody has ever been elected to the White House with a disapproval rating of 50% or higher. No, and that's not good news for Hillary. What is her disapproval numbers right now? They're approaching 60%, right? Or is it over? Was it 64% that I saw? I don't know. Well, let me see if I can find it. Her disapproval rating at the moment is now. See, this is what you're able to do on the fly. Unfavorable numbers. And let's go to this one. See, you can see I'm doing this. Well, you can't see, but you can hear I'm doing this. Her favorable numbers are the highest they've been in 14 years. And she's 54% unfavorable right now. That's not a good thing for her. Not a good thing. So she can't. Well, I shouldn't say that. She can't be elected with a disapproval of 54%. After all, she is a Democrat, and she is a Clinton, and they're very good at, escaping the reality of things and making whatever they want to happen actually happen. But Obama's disapproval rate is at 50%. So at this particular juncture, if he were to be able to run for a third term, he might be primaried right out. Bernie Sanders might be able to beat him in a primary. Although, speaking of Bernie Sanders, now I actually wasn't even going to cover this, but speaking of Bernie Sanders, I find it extremely interesting that Bernie Sanders, of all people, was basically taken off his stage by Black Lives Matter people. I'm looking at the story on this, and I'm watching the video, and I'm thinking, that did not just happen. The world has completely flipped upside down. Now, and then Bernie went and did something utterly, I think it's utterly stupid. Because, people are going to, African Americans are going to see right through it. He went out and hired himself another press secretary, a black female. And That's not going to. This is why the guy is out of touch. He doesn't get it. He obviously thinks that, I kind of got booed off my own stage here by Black Lives Matter because they don't think I understand. So I'm going to go out and hire myself a black female press secretary who's going to go out there and tell people that I understand. And as if Democrat, liberal African Americans are going to. So that is not going to fly. Because if they're already targeting you, if Black Lives Matter, BLM is already targeting you and knocking you off, if two black women are able to knock you off the stage because they're from Black Lives Matter, then hiring a single black female press secretary is not going to change their positions, Bernie. I'm sorry. They're all into this white supremacy stuff. Maybe we are slightly post-racial. Maybe we're not as racist as they said we were. We're not, as a nation, we're not as racist as the left says that we were. But so in order to sort of hold on to this racism type of stuff and still have race baiters like Al Sharpton be relevant, they had to come up with a new term. White supremacy. Now, maybe whites really aren't really overtly racist anymore, but they have this supreme type of mentality that thinks that they're still in the kings of everything. So there is this this new notion, this new term of white supremacist. Or white supremacy, not supremacy, because white supremacist would be, like the KKK, but they're not going that direction of like the KKK. They're just saying that because, obviously, the vast majority of Americans do not identify with, racist groups like the KKK or the skinheads or neo-Nazis or what have you. So they wouldn't be able to get anywhere by saying that, the regular everyday Americans are like the KKK. Maybe back in the 30s or something, they'd be able to get away with that, but not today, especially having elected Obama to the White House twice. So that wouldn't fly. So they have to come up with something new, and they came up with this term, white supremacy. Meaning that, maybe they're not so racist anymore, but don't you doubt for an instant that whites still want to be on top and be in the ruling class. That's what the whole race supremacy thing is about. Not white supremacist, but white supremacy. You see the play on the words there? Well, that's it. And of course, that's also really a bunch of bunk. Because, the Black Lives Matter group and those who support the belief in white supremacy, the reason why they're saying that this really does exist is because whites are very scared about losing their majority hold on this country. Because, hey, we've been told over and over again that, by the year 2050 or 2040 or something like that whites will be a real numerical minority in this country. And that all the minorities will outnumber the whites. And that by, I think 2060 or 2070 or something like that Latino, Hispanic heritage people will then become the new white group, I guess. Because they're just growing so fast. So, even legally. So I guess, at some point, we're gonna have to transfer our hatred and racist and bigoted views away from whites, because they're going to be in the minority and they're not going to have much power and they're not going to have much in the way of numbers, and we're going to have to transfer that to the Latinos because they're going to have all the numbers, which means that they're going to start electing Latinos who are going to then have all the power. So then I guess at that point it'll be Latino supremacy, right? Well, that's only logical. So for the race baiters, they got to continue this type of race baiting stuff. So look, don't doubt me on this. That this is how they're going to try to continue this kind of stuff. is simply by changing who the group in power is. That's just it. But anyway, voters are pretty much not falling for the, well, and if you were to actually show Obama the numbers, and you were to show him unequivocally that, Mr. President, if you ran for a third term, you definitely would not win, he would not believe it. He would be out there saying, well, hey, that's because I'm not out there campaigning. And if I got out there and that's what I was talking about. If I got out there and campaigned, because my numbers are still high enough that if I got out there and campaigned, everybody would believe me again. And I'd easily win third term because I'd be out there campaigning. Well, the problem is with that type of mentality and that thought, Mr. President, is that you've never stopped campaigning. You're still campaigning. You're not governing. You're still campaigning. So you actually getting on the road to campaign isn't really going to help you all that much because you've never stopped campaigning. And I think a lot of people have finally caught up to that fact because, hey, you're in Washington, you're the president, and none of this stuff is your fault. I think Americans are trying to scratch their head. Really, none of this is your fault? How is that possible? You're out there talking about that you're still fighting against the GOP and you're still fighting for the middle class and the lower class and the poor people and that kind of stuff. You're still how is that possible? You're in the thick of it. You're the one that's helping to create policy that the entire country is beholden to. And none of that is your fault? Well, I think the American people really can, once they get all this racism stuff out of their head, they can really smell and see BS. And they see it now and smell it.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
603-835-3224 if you wish to join me here on The Rod Eccles Show live. Your lovable host, El Rod, will gladly take your call. You know, I just had a Skype message, and the person was asking me, well, you know, hey, Rod, what's your angle? What's your game? Well, I really don't have an angle, but I guess if I did have an angle, the angle is that I'm out here for the team. There was having a slight discussion on Facebook with one of my, well, actually I don't, yeah, he was a Facebook friend. I wasn't responding to one of his friends. I was actually responding to him, a Facebook friend who put up something about the Civil War and black soldiers on the Confederate side. Now, it was. Now, I'm not saying I did, and I tried to tell him that I wasn't accusing him of lying. I basically said that, you know, hey, I was. All I'm out there for is the truth, and the truth is this about black soldiers on the Confederate side. They were not free black men on the Confederate side fighting for the Confederacy. Not like they were free on the Union side, the North. The black soldiers on the Confederate side were sort of conscripted or forced by one of two methods. You know, hey, if you go out there and fight for us, we'll set you free after the war, or we'll set you free after so many battles. This stuff is actually written, documented history, and none of it came true for them. Or they were told that, you know, basically, well, you know, we're going to conscript you, and if you do not fight and fight with all your might for the Confederacy, we're just going to kill your family. So, again, that's kind of stuff that's kind of written, documented history, but you have to go back to the actual letters that were written and history that was written before into the 1950s in order to really see all that stuff. And so I was explaining it to him that, because he was saying, well, we know that through time, history can get twisted and rewritten. And I said, yeah, that's why you go back to history. You go as close as you possibly can to the actual historical event. You get all the documentation from as close as you can to the historical event. That's when you're going to get your truth. And I wasn't out there trying to debase him or put him down or anything. I was being quite friendly and resolute about it, that I'm out there for the truth. And I don't think he bought it until he saw me respond to another post about President Obama. Now, there are people out there that rip on Obama constantly for him not saluting, the soldiers that salute him. And I'm not defending him in any manner. I just want the truth to be known. That's all I care about. I don't care what side of the political aisle the truth is. I just want the truth. The truth is that there is no real tradition or responsibility of the president to return a salute. He's the commander-in-chief. In other words, if there was such a thing as a 6-star general, that would be the president. And if you go throughout any sort of video history that we have from like World War I and a lot through World War II and even more through the Korean War, you will see high-ranking officials, high-ranking generals, like MacArthur and the like, who are being saluted by lesser-ranking soldiers, and they're not even acknowledging that they're there, let alone saluting back. And I found a document that pretty much proved my point, and I gave it to them that, for about nearly 200 years, presidents didn't salute the troops at all. And then this guy, who I was just correcting on his historical misinformation, he basically told me, yeah, I guess you really are about the truth then, aren't you? Yeah, I really am about the truth. So I don't want people knocking Obama for the wrong thing. Now, there's too much out there that you can knock him that's absolutely accurate and truthful. We don't need to make up stuff with this guy. In fact, making up stuff just makes us look bad. It really does. We don't need to make anything up. We don't need to, to berate him for not saluting and things like that, because, for the most part, presidents really didn't and don't do it all the time. And the reason is because they're the senior officer, basically. The most senior officer in our country. Commander-in-chief. 6-star general, if you will. That's just a fact. I'm sorry. It is, people may not like that, but, geez, Rod, now you're protecting Obama? No, I'm just telling you the truth, because another president is going to get into office and he's not going to salute for whatever reason at one particular time, and it could be a Republican, and the left is going to jump. See, look at you guys. You were jumping all over our guy, just a few years ago, and now your guy is doing the same thing. You guys are a bunch of hypocrites and blah, blah. And that, that's going to happen. So I have to correct it now. And hopefully the truth gets spread around enough out there so it doesn't happen, and this whole notion of trying to deride President Obama for not saluting the troops stops. Because it's going to come back to bite us. Because, you're teaching the left out there that this is a fact, that presidents are supposed to salute, when the reality is they're not. Just saying. That's a side note. Look, I'm really all about the truth and logic here. As long as it is a fact and it is the truth, I don't care where it comes from. I don't care who it favors. It is what it is. Because if you don't know the truth, then you can't fix the problem if there is one. You can't accurately, profoundly, and rightfully fix the problem if there is a problem, if you don't know the truth. Plain and simple. And you know what? I got to tell you, I don't like talking about myself, but let me do a little bit of that right now. That's what makes me different from a lot of these other pundits out there. That's what makes me different, folks. What makes you different? The difference is that I'm all about the truth. I don't care where the truth comes from. I don't care which side of the political aisle the current truth favors. I want the truth. And I think every other law-abiding, legal American citizen should want the exact same thing I do, because you cannot fix a problem unless you know the truth. Oh, I take that back. You cannot accurately fix a problem unless you know the truth. You can try to fix a problem, and you're going to end up with the wrong solution and make things worse if you're doing it from less than the truth. Okay, let's say it, a lie. If you're trying to fix a problem based on a lie, well, that problem isn't going to get better. In fact, it's most likely going to get worse. So that's why I'm here. That's what makes me different. I don't care where the truth comes from. I may not like it. Let's say la vie. Oh, well. That's me not liking the truth is not the problem of the truth. That's my problem. And I'll say it to all of you listeners out there. You not liking the truth is not the problem of the truth. It's your problem. And each of us have to deal with that on an individual basis and come to grips and come to terms with what the truth really is. Because once we know that, then we know how to fix the problem. Now, let me put it in perspective. Right now, the truth is that our current president is our problem. His policy. Let me make sure people understand that. A-R-E, our, O-U-R, problem. His policies are our problem. That's the truth. And you lefties out there, you may not like it, but too damn bad. And the point is that if we're going to fix the mess that this guy has created, then we got to know the truth behind the mess that he's created. Because otherwise, we're just going to end up, falling victim to false truths from Hillary Clinton and elect her, and she's going to continue all the problems, and nothing's going to get better. Or we'll end up electing a blue blood rhino like, Jeb Bush, and very little will get better. Granted, factually speaking, Jeb's thing. It's J-E-B. And I've never looked it up, and I keep always meaning to. But what is his first name really James or something like that? Jethro? I don't know. Jeremiah? Because I know the B for Jeb probably stands for Bush. Because I went to school with a kid named Jed, G-E-D. And Jed was his initials for George Edward Donnell. But he didn't like his first name, George. And his parents refused to call him Ed or Edward or Eddie. I don't know why. So he his older brother one day, I guess, decided to call him Jed, and it stuck. But now we have Jeb, J-E-B. So I don't know, maybe is it Jorge? Jorge E. Bush, I don't know. I'd never looked up to find out what Jeb's government name is. That's what the rappers say. Because all the rappers, they have these stage names, and now we have a lot of non-rapper singers, whatever, that have stage names too. But if you want to call them by their real name, they don't say it's my real name. They say it's my government name, meaning the name that's on their birth certificate. So that's like Curtis Jackson. I bet you most people don't know who Curtis Jackson is. Curtis Jackson is 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson is 50 Cent's government name. I think he's a junior. I think it's Curtis Jackson Jr., if I'm not mistaken. I might be confusing him with somebody else, but I think he's a junior. He may not be. But anyways, Curtis Jackson is 50 Cent's government name. Just, just thought you'd like to know that. Whenever you see any so next time you see anything about 50 Cent, you'll know what his real name is. The Rock is Dwayne Johnson, right? Dwayne Johnson's his government name. The Rock is his stage name. He's not his stage name, it was his wrestling name. That's his stage name. He doesn't go by the Rock really anymore, does he? No, he goes by Dwayne Johnson, or is it Dwayne the Rock Johnson? I think that's what but if you see credits on his movies now, I think it's Dwayne. It's either Dwayne Johnson or Dwayne the Rock Johnson. It's not just the Rock anymore, is it? I don't think so. The Hulk Hogan. What's Hulk Hogan's government name? Terrence, I think. Terrence Hogan. I guess you can't be tough if your name is Terry. I don't know. Hey, those names are the truth. John Wayne, for instance. John Wayne was his stage name. I bet you most people out there don't know what John Wayne's government name is. His government name is Marion. Marion Morrison. Now, I don't know about you, but a tough cowboy actor by the name of Marion Morrison back then wasn't going to go I don't even think today it would go very far. He'd go very far. Marion. That's, John. That's a good American name. Solid. Strong. Marion. That's a girl's name. Hey, look it up. That's his government name is Marion. So, that's the truth. It's not that it's it was a problem for John Wayne. That's why they changed his name to John Wayne. But again, you couldn't change his name, I guess, unless you knew what his real name was, right? So just saying. Anyway, I digress. I do that quite often. So hang in there with me, folks. Hey, the EPA, USA Today, has a story about this ridiculous EPA caused pollution of a river out in New Mexico. And it was caused by EPA agents, if you will, that caused a dam or retaining wall to collapse and release toxic wastewater from an abandoned mine into the Colorado River known as the Animas River. And now, according to USA Today, the estimate of the number of gallons toxic wastewater released into the Animas River is actually 3 times what they previously thought. Now, I'm going to nitpick here, because there's this whole notion of what they previously thought. Well, that's a BS statement. I'm calling BS on that. Because if they can measure, and they're saying, well, yeah, it's discharging 500 gallons per minute. Well, if they can measure that, then they know exactly how much water, based on the amount of time, it got into that river. And so now they want to say, well, it's worse than we thought. But really? No, it's not. Somebody's called your bluff, and you have to go out there and try to cover CYA, if you will. And if your kids out there don't know what CYA is, you might want to explain what those 3 letters actually mean in that acronym. So the EPA's out there CYAing by saying, well, it's, three times worse than we thought. How do you miscalculate by a couple million gallons? Only the government can do that and get away with it. If this were a private company, if it was a company that owned this mine, that did this and then understated even if it was by accident, understated the amount of wastewater and polluted water they would get hammered with fines. Well, you lied and blah, blah, you got to know the exact amount. Oh, the EPA? Oh, yeah, we kind of missed it. There's no big deal. It's a huge deal. In fact, it's such a huge deal that farmers downriver can't even water their crops using that water because it's so contaminated, so polluted with extremely. I mean, I'm looking at this, seeing the levels of arsenic, 300 times the normal level, lead, 3,500, that's 3,500 times the normal level. Those farmers can't water their crops with that water. They're going to pollute and contaminate their crops. Whatever that crop is, it's not going to be edible. It's not going to be fit for human consumption. And it is not going to be fit for animal consumption because that animal is going to end up putting that into human food, whether it be, for cows, for milk, or into the meat. Hey, it's not fit for man nor beast. Because of stupid EPA regulations and stupid EPA people running around thinking they know everything and they don't know jack, and they cause this, and now that's like, oh, well, we're sorry. Well, I hope somebody's going to hold, I don't know how, nobody's ever going to go to jail over this. In fact, very few people, if anybody from the EPA is going to get fired. Don't doubt me on this. There may be a couple of guys that get reprimanded and it'll be, this is going to go on your permanent record. Oh, big whoop-de-doo. They're still going to get their pension at the end of their 30 years in the government. It's not going to harm them. The only thing that's going to harm them maybe is their climb up the government ladder. That might hold them back a little bit. But, river users want the EPA to be held accountable for its own toxic spill because, I don't know how you're going to hold them accountable because what are they going to do? Well, I guess the government could end up, having to pay people for the government spill because that's, the Navajo tribe is really considering suing the EPA over this. I think they should. Because if they would have, none of the stories I've read ever really mentioned exactly what the EPA was doing and why they were doing it. I mean, first of all, if they would have just left it alone, and if they just let the mine naturally, I don't know, I'm just saying if they naturally let it drain through the years, they may have been able to, reduce the amount of contaminants in the first place, and it wouldn't be so high now. And they wouldn't have to worry about trying to contain it and then cleaning it up. I mean, it should have already been cleaned up. It's an abandoned mine, right? Now, didn't we have a super fund? Remember many people don't know about the Love Canal, but there was something called the first Superfund site called the Love Canal in this isn't outside of, was it Tonawanda? Somewhere, it wasn't New York, right? Somewhere outside of Buffalo, I think. Or was it Pennsylvania? Anyway, I can't remember exactly where Love Canal is, but it was a suburb, and it was the country's first and this is how we got this whole Superfund thing anyway, is because people were dying and kids were getting these strange diseases that they shouldn't have been getting and getting sick, and found out that the whole subdivision was built on a chemical waste site dump. And, the whole community had to be abandoned. Well, those people had to be reimbursed for their homes because they obviously were worthless and they could never go back there. Although I think I saw something a couple of years ago about people wanting to return to Love Canal. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be. I'm not going to trust the government to say, oh, yeah, it's safe now. You can live here. No. Just like the water, it's safe to drink and water your crops and animals with this now. And people do that, and all of a sudden they get, well, you know what? You've got this mercury and lead and arsenic in there that's too high. No, you shouldn't have done that. So, yeah, I think that somebody needs to be, all the private citizens and private businesses along this river that use this river and depend on it and whose businesses and livelihood is affected needs to be compensated. Now, I hate to say it, it's government and it comes out of, taxes, but not only should they be compensated, but these idiots need to be fully and completely held accountable. That means somebody needs to lose their job. And somebody, if it is proven to be complete negligence, needs to go to jail. Yeah, that's just the way it is. You don't do that to people. Well, our government's allowed to do that, I guess. But so, you know, especially this EPA, who's got this really hard line in the environment now, and they're out there, you know, screwing up so bad that this is one of the worst man-made natural disasters in our country's history. But you're not hearing a lot about that because it's the EPA who did it. You know, it'd be kind of hypocritical, right? But it's the truth. I don't know how you... More than 3 million gallons of toxic waste like that? I don't know how you get around that. By how you get around saying that it's not a very bad. It's terrible. Well, but it is our government, because our government can do no wrong, and they can't be held accountable for anything. So, but anyway, we have come to the end of this wonderful program. But I will, fear not, folks, fear not, for I will be back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. Have a wonderful evening. I'm out.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.